Come on, Gray. The test will start soon. Martha's voice could be heard from downstairs. I'm coming, Mom. A boy's voice filled with excitement could be heard from upstairs. Before long, Martha heard the sound of running on the stairs. Take it easy, dear. You might hurt yourself, Martha said in a soft tone when she heard the rushed footsteps. A young boy about the age of 12 could be seen running down the steps with a flushed look. I'm ready, Mom. Let's get going before it starts. I want to get a good position on the list, Gray said with enthusiasm. Martha looked at him with a smile and helped arrange his hair before they left for the arena where the test will be held. Martha was a lady in her early 30s. She had fair skin and beautiful brown eyes, an oval-shaped face and shoulder-length blonde hair. In short, she was a breathtakingly beautiful woman. Today was the day when the Academy Union did a test for the youngsters in this city to know their aptitude and which elements they were inclined to. This is a world of elementalists. Everyone has an element they are in tune with, and the academies help the people check what elements they are inclined with. Elementalists cultivate by absorbing their said elemental particles from the world to increase their realms. With each increase in realm, there is also an increase in lifespan. Everyone wants a long life, so they always work hard on cultivating. There are few people, though, who don't have an affinity with any of the elements. But they are very rare, not being inclined with the elements. These said people tend to be outcasts anywhere they are, as they can barely survive. Since they don't live long, they rarely have relationships with people also, except for their families. One can only check which elements he is compatible with after reaching the age of 12, but anything older isn't advised, as the body is at its best state to start cultivating at that given age. But some do take the test later. You can get a cultivation technique after you get admitted into any of the academies, or if you're from a big clan, getting one wouldn't be hard. Okay, back to the story. The entire town was abuzz with activity, as people could be seen coming out from almost every home, heading in the direction of arena at the eastern part of the city. The test is held every year, as a lot of kids reach the age of 12 every year. There are different places where the test could be taken. And big cities do have multiple centers for taking the test since they have more people. This city, though, well, it's not that big, and only has about 20 participants taking the test each year. On getting to the arena, the stands were already filled to the brim with people, and the test had started already. Mom, look, they've already started. Now I'm going to be among the last people tested, Gray complained when he saw the test had already commenced. Martha looked at her son, speechless. You were the one who took heavens, know how long dressing up, yet I'm the one to blame because we came late. She was too lazy to reply to her son's statement. She looked around for the registration stand. Come on, let's go and get you registered, little man, quote, Martha said as she walked towards the place for registration. A table and a chair were set up there, and also a man could be seen sitting on the chair taking down names. Hello, sir. I'm here to register my son for the test. Look, Martha said towards the man sitting on the chair. Okay, what's his name and exact age? The man said politely. His name's Gray, and he is 12 years, 2 months old, Martha replied. Okay, he will be the 16th person called up, the man said after taking down the details of Gray. Okay, sir. Martha turned and was about to leave with Gray. Currently, 3 people have already gone up to take the test. Just be prepared. If his name is called and he doesn't come up the stage within 1 minute, he would be skipped and will have to wait till next year to have his test done. Okay, thank you, sir. Martha thanked him sincerely before taking Gray with her as they looked for a place to sit. Now sit down and behave. Wait for your turn patiently and don't get nervous, okay? Martha advised her son calmly. She knew how mischievous he can get. Although he causes a lot of trouble, she knew he was a sensible kid. While the mother and son duo were still talking, a loud voice could be heard from the platform. Jonas, Elemental Affinity Fire, grade Purple. The elder who took the test declared the result of the test loudly. The entire arena immediately went into an uproar when this result was announced. Did he just say purple grade? Oh my God, a purple grade appeared. The last time a purple grade appeared, all the big academies fought for who would admit him into their school. Talents are graded with colors, and there are 4 colors known to the people of the Keelan Empire, which are pink, orange, purple, and blue, with blue being the highest and pink the lowest. Pink and orange talent takes up the majority of the population, while the talented have purple and blue. There are rare cases of people who have multiple elements. It was said the Emperor of the Empire is a dual elementalist and also had a blue and purple grade respectively on each element. The Emperor is the strongest elementalist known to the public. The representatives of each academy immediately got into a heated argument on who would take Jonas as a student. Usually, after the result of a test is announced, the representatives discuss among themselves before one of the academies gets the kid. But in this case, none of the academies wanted to miss out on such a talented individual. Although the academies had a good relationship outside, they were still competing against each other. Cough. Why don't you allow him to choose which academy he would like to enter as a student? The elder announcing the results couldn't allow the academies to lose face in front of the crowd, so he coughed lightly to draw the attention of the representatives before giving them a suggestion. The representatives quickly calmed themselves and looked at Jonas with eager looks. Jonas felt proud for attracting such attention from the representatives. Seniors, can I go talk with my parents before deciding on which academy I will join? Jonas asked respectfully. Yes, of course. Besides, the test is still ongoing, the representative said with a smile. Usually they wouldn't have been so courteous towards anybody from such a small city, but the case was different for Jonas. Jonas was someone who will grow to be a powerhouse later in the future with his talent. So having a good relationship with him isn't bad, even if he will only be able to join one of the academies. Everyone looked at Jonas with envy. He was currently the center of attention in the entire arena. His current status has already risen to a new high, as even in the academy, he will be someone the academy will nurture greatly. Wow, a purple grade Gray said with a tinge of envy while looking at Jonas, who was walking towards his parents with a smile on his face. Martha looked at Jonas also, surprised that someone with a purple grade appeared in this little city of theirs. Okay, now let's continue with the test, the elder shouted as he tried to restore order to the arena. The people in the arena quickly toned down the noise. The elder continued calling the names of the children on the list given to him. After getting to the 10th name, the elder called for a break. He used the opportunity to take the new list which had been made since some people came late. They decided to hold the test in this manner. After the 10 minutes break, the test continued. Quickly, it got to the 15th name on the list. Gray tensed up as it was soon going to be his turn. His palm became sweaty, and his nervousness could visibly be seen. Calm down, sweetie. It will be all right, okay? Martha immediately held onto Gray's sweaty hands to help relieve the stress he was currently going through. Next up, Gray, the elder shouted the next name on the list. Everyone in the arena looked on with interest, awaiting the boy whose name was called up. Gray nervously stood up from where he was seated and slowly walked towards the platform. When he got there, he couldn't help but look at everyone staring at him intently. Gray breathed heavily, trying to calm himself down. Step forward and place your hand on the stone. The elder in charge looked at Gray with a smile and told him to place his hand on what was used to do the test. Gray carefully observed the stone. It was quite an amazing thing, as it was what was used to check the elements people are compatible with, and also it checks their talents. Gray calmed his mind and stepped forward. He looked at the stone before gently walking closer to it and placing his hand on it. The stone felt cold when he placed his hand on it. Immediately he placed his hand on the stone. He felt something moving out of the stone and passing through his hand into his body. Gray was slightly surprised by the feeling and instinctively wanted to take his hand off the stone. Don't move, it will be over soon. It was like the elder could read his thoughts and quickly whispered to him before he could take his hand off the stone. Gray stilled himself and let the strange energy run freely in his body. The energy moved from his hand before making a circle around every single part of his body. After circling 3 times, he felt the energy leaving his body the same way it came. When the energy left his body, he finally loosened up. The elder looked at Gray for some time before walking closer towards the stone. He stared at it profoundly before taking a look at Gray again. "Place your hand on it one more time," he said to Gray. Gray was surprised by what the elder was doing. All the kids who had taken the test before him only did it once, and the elder would announce the result. How come his case was different? He couldn't refuse the order, so he placed his hand on it again. The audience was quite surprised on seeing Gray placing his hands on the stone again. What is going on? Why is that kid doing it again? Is there a problem with the stone? Some of the parents who brought their kids there started having doubts on witnessing Gray placing his hand on the stone and taking the test again. Martha just watched on without any emotions, like she knew this would happen already. Although deep down she felt sad, there was nothing she can do about it. He told her to make sure she took Gray to the test, and she couldn't refuse him, so she did. The process repeated itself. The elder got close to the stone again to look at it and was stunned again. He looked at the stone, then at Gray again before sighing. Sympathy could currently be seen in his eyes when he looked at Gray. Gray was taken aback by the way the elder was looking at him. He suddenly had a bad premonition. "Senior, what is the result?" Gray asked with a slightly shaky voice. "Gray, Affinity, 0, the elder announced the result loudly. Boom! It was like a bolt of lightning struck Gray. He stood there, dumbfounded, and just stared at the elder. What? 0 affinity? How can he not have any affinity? This, how is this possible? I've only heard of people who don't have any affinities with any elements, but haven't seen anyone before. So there truly are people with no affinities. What a pitiful kid. How can he live without having any affinities? Scoff, he made us wait for nothing. I even thought he was something special as the senior told him to take the test again. Who knew he didn't even have an affinity?" Shocked voices could be heard from the audience, and there was also some with scorn. Some people are just prone to kicking a man when he is down. Sigh. Hopefully he doesn't break down. Martha said with a sad voice. Gray stood still amidst all the noise without any reactions. One word was reverberating in his head currently: how? The representatives looked at the boy on the platform and felt sad for him. But since he was someone without any elemental affinity, he was not of much use to them. They looked at the elder in charge of the test and signaled him to continue with the test. They were eager for the test to end as they were waiting for the decision Jonas will make. "Get on with the test, elder. We don't have all day." The representative of the Starlight Academy urged the elder to go ahead with the test. Since Gray didn't have any affinity, he was no different from a cripple. "Young boy, don't feel down. You might be a late bloomer, as some people don't awaken their elements on time." The representative of the Lunar Academy tried to console Gray. Although it was rarely seen, there have been times it had happened. But usually it rarely happens. Gray looked at the representatives. He couldn't reply to any of them as he couldn't even process what was going on. He walked down from the platform like a lifeless zombie. He just walked straight and even forgot to head back to his seat. This kid, Martha, worriedly went after him. She knew Gray was very cheerful and this will definitely affect him, but she knew he will be able to walk out of the darkness with time. Next, the elder continued with the test, and everyone's enthusiasm was instantly reignited. Since the tragedy didn't happen to any of them, they couldn't really wallow in sorrow. Jonas looked at Gray's fading shadow without any emotion. He didn't feel anything towards him, as even if he had any talent, it didn't matter much to him who had purple talent. As a child, he has always set his sights very high, and now things have already started to click as he envisioned. The test went on normally and soon ended. After the test was completed, Jonas went over to the representatives to tell them his decision. He joined the Starlight Academy as it was publicly regarded as the leaders of the Academy Union. In public opinion, the Starlight Academy was known as the strongest, and Jonas wanted the best for himself. A lot of events took place in the test today. First, a purple talent appeared, and then a person with no elemental affinity also appeared. The news of what happened in the test quickly spread around the city. When the people staying in the city heard of Jonas, they were awed by the fact that he had a purple talent. But Jonas wasn't the only one who became famous after the test. Gray's name also became widespread since he was someone without any elemental affinity. It was later announced that Jonas joined the Starlight Academy and immediately left with the representative of the academy. Knock, knock. Gray, can I come in? Martha knocked on the door that led to Gray's room. She waited for some time and didn't get any response. She opened the door and walked in. She saw Gray lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Gray, Martha called out softly. Why? Why did this happen to me? Gray asked with a croaked voice. Martha felt pained on seeing her son like this. This wasn't anything she would wish anyone to go through. In a world where elementalists reign supreme, having no affinity is the same as being a cripple. I don't know, dear, but you have to be strong. You remember what your dad said to you before leaving, right? Martha said while caressing Gray's cheek. Yes, he said I should never give up on myself. Even when the world does, he said I should always stand tall and stay strong. Gray replied, but without much firmness in his voice. I know my son is the greatest. Whew, Martha looked at Gray lovingly. Gray knew his mother was trying to cheer him up, but still, whenever he thought of how he was going to live without any elements, he felt sadder. Gray, remember this? What makes you different? Makes you special. You are unique from the rest of the world. I'm not saying this just to cheer you up. I'm saying this because I know the child I gave birth to was not meant to live an ordinary life. You will reign above all, only you shall be at the top, and no one shall be your equal. Martha looked at her son in his eyes and said with all seriousness, what makes you different makes you special. That statement kept repeating itself in Gray's head, and he started seeing the light in the darkness which he had fallen into. Although a little, it was something that will help him leave his current state. Martha was happy when she noticed he had some reactions to her words. She went over to her room and dropped on the bed, crying. She was only being strong in front of her son as she wanted him to pull himself together soon. I know you said it was for his future, but why must you make him through this? She said angrily while looking out the window. No mother wanted to see her child downcast. She felt bad on seeing his reaction when the result was announced. Somewhere far away. Sigh, he must have already reached 12 by now. Time sure does fly fast. I wonder how he would react after finding out. I hope Martha can talk him out of his bad mood. Not only that, but I also miss them, a voice said filled with longing. On a rocky patch in the forest northwest of Red City, a young boy could be seen, with his hands on his knees, while in a standing position panting heavily. Sweat dripped from his chin as he bent exhausted. When he raised his face, a stunningly handsome face could be seen. He had short black hair and an inverted triangular-shaped face. He had bow-shaped lips with beautiful black eyes. His skin was toned from being in the sun for too long each day. He measured 5'7" in height and has a slender body. Adding his chiseled-like muscles, further made physique just amazing. Any girl will fall heads over heels for him. Gray stood up and looked at his hands, which looked rough for someone his age. It has been 3 years since the day of the test. After wallowing in sadness for some time, he was able to pick himself up. One day during dinner, Martha suggested he should start training his body, since there was no way he could hone it using the element which would in turn keep him healthy. At first, he rejected the idea, but after multiple convincing from Martha, he finally decided to try it out. Gray took up the idea and started training ever since. It has been 3 years already. He had forgotten just how many times he had trained himself so hard he couldn't stand up. He has always been a determined person, so he decided if he couldn't cultivate, he will pour all his energy into honing his body. Besides, spending his time here helps him escape from the reality of what happened to him. Well, that should be it for today. I better get back before it gets dark. Gray immediately rushed home before his body would give up on him after the rigorous training. He always tries to surpass himself every day he heads out to train. Red City, whew, Mom, I'm home, Gray shouted as he opened the door and walked into the house. Gray immediately smelled a great aroma coming from the kitchen as he walked in. Okay, dear, go freshen up. Dinner will be done shortly. Martha's voice came from the kitchen. Whew. Okay, Mom, Gray replied as he went to take a warm bath. He always baths warm water after training, as it helps wear down the fatigue. But nothing beats a good night's sleep. 10 minutes later, Gray came downstairs and saw a wonderful sight on the table. Martha prepared his favorite food. How was your training today? Martha asked, while inviting Gray over to have his meal. It was okay. I was able to go 30 minutes more than my usual time, Gray stated proudly. Did anything strange happen today? Martha asked Gray curiously. No, Mom, you always ask me this question every time I tell you I surpassed my previous records in training. Gray couldn't help but ask. Martha has asked him this question frequently lately, and it was sort of making him worried. Will something happen to me if I hone my body too hard? Gray was starting to get scared. Elementalists don't hone their body. The elements do it for them. But the result is different from honing the body. His body is stronger than most elementalists of his age because of how much he had honed it. Nothing, dear, Martha replied. Why isn't it happening yet? Could it be that he hasn't met the requirements? He said it should awaken after he clocks 15 years old. It has already been 5 months now. Martha couldn't help but begin to worry about her son's future. She hid it to herself, though, and didn't show any visible reactions. Gray looked at her suspiciously before focusing back on his meal. After dinner, he spoke with Martha for some time before he went to his room to rest. Gray didn't have any friends anymore since the test. He was abandoned by everyone, and they all avoided him like he was a plague. Whenever he experiences this, he felt hurt. He was still young, so this definitely had a huge impact on him. Martha has been his support. She makes sure she accompanies him as much as she could and always encourages him. Gray grew as time went on and was able to put everything behind him. His situation made him find comfort in reading when he's alone. Gray continued his daily routine, and quickly another month went by without any major thing happening. On a particular day, Gray was in the forest doing his usual training routine. He suddenly started feeling hot and sweating more than usual. He felt maybe it was because of his training and decided to take a short rest to calm his temperature. He got hotter as time went on and also sweated more. What's happening to me? Gray started panicking because of what was taking place. He immediately packed his things and ran home as fast as he could. Gray is faster than most people because of his training. Only some wind and lightning elementalists will have an edge over him in terms of speed. And his stamina was also high, so he had no problem sprinting a long distance. When he got home, he immediately pulled all his clothes and jumped into cold water. The hotness in his body continued getting hotter, and it got to the point he couldn't bear it anymore. He screamed in pain for some time before passing out. Huge changes were currently going on in his body, and his body began automatically absorbing the elemental particles in the surrounding. His body was like a black hole as it absorbed the elements greedily. His toned skin started reverting to his usual fairness, and his rough palm also turned as smooth as a baby's palm. By the time he woke up, it was already late in the evening, and he noticed he was fully dressed in his bed. Who dressed me up? That was the first question that entered his mind on seeing his condition. He looked around confused by everything that happened. He managed to sit up. He walked downstairs after some time and saw Martha sitting quietly on a chair. She raised her head and looked at Gray with a big smile when she noticed him coming down. Mom, were you the one who dressed me up? Gray asked, the most important question on his mind after seeing her. Gray felt embarrassed because he remembered being fully naked when he passed out. Martha was taken aback by the question. She couldn't believe the first thing Gray said after waking up was who dressed him up. "I have no idea," Martha replied as she looked at Gray with eyes saying, "Do you live in this house with someone else? Try asking that question again and I'll beat you up. He is actually embarrassed because I dressed him up. I'm his mother." This kid, Martha thought wryly. When Gray heard her reply, he wanted to talk more, but when he saw the look in Martha's eyes, he quickly swallowed his words. He knew just how scary she could be if she got angry. "Gray, what happened to you? Why were you unconscious when I came back?" Martha asked worriedly. "I don't know, Mom. I suddenly started feeling hot during training. I rushed home and took a cold bath, but the hot feeling didn't stop. Instead, it increased. I passed out shortly after." Gray recounted everything that happened before he passed out, omitting the part where he screamed like a baby. He still wanted to keep his pride in front of his mother. Martha immediately fell into deep thoughts when she heard this. She glanced at Gray before getting up and walking towards the kitchen to get dinner for him. As she walked past him, she froze in the spot and looked at him again from head to toe. Gray was surprised by his mother's abrupt behavior and started feeling scared, thinking his mother was angry. "Gray, did you notice the changes in your skin?" Martha asked. She clearly remembered how he looked in the morning. Gray didn't really take note of the change in his skin and looked at it. He was dumbstruck by what he saw. How is this possible? He looked at his skin, and his eyes drifted to his palm. Martha looked at him more shocked. How can his skin color change so suddenly? P.S. The book will have a medieval setting, as some might think it's modern.